Hello and welcome to Theatre Reviews with Paul Constable. I'm here at the Minerva Theatre in Chichester to take a trip back to the 70s and see Rock Follies. Rock Follies was a British television series from the mid-1970s that followed the ups and downs of a fictional pioneering female singing group through 2 seasons. Now Chichester Festival Theatre has turned it into a musical. Is it folly to try to condense 10 hours of TV drama into a 2.5-hour theatre musical? Or does this tale of women in a masculine world rock? Keep watching and I'll give you my view and tell you a bit more about the original TV series. But before I begin, may I ask you to like, comment and please subscribe to this channel. Thank you. Back in 1976, when Rock Follies first appeared on the nation's screens, TV was a very different landscape to today. For a start, there was no satellite or streaming, not even recorders, so whereas nowadays 3 million viewers is considered a success, back then Rock Follies had 15 million people watching live. Consequently, many older people will remember it well. However, anyone under, say, 60 may be puzzled as to what the fuss is about. So first, a bit of background. It's hard to imagine now, but in the 1970s, women were rare in the British pop charts and female groups were non-existent. The pop industry was dominated by men both on and off stage. Rock Follies imagined the fate of a female rock group. And that fate in the 1970s was always likely to be one of misogyny and exploitation. Equal pay for women had only come into law a few months before the series began. And the assumption was still that women in the music industry would be secretaries or groupies. A very different world, although the Me Too movement has shown that less has changed than we might hope. As for the title, well, rock we understand, but why Follies? I'm not sure. Maybe it was an echo of those spectacular song and dance shows from the early part of the 20th century, maybe intended to reassure the audience of the day who weren't grabbed by the idea of a TV drama about rock music. Or maybe it was meant to be an ironic suggestion that the idea of a female rock group was a foolish fantasy. In fact, there's a lot of irony. Although it's a story of 3 feminist women who challenged the male world by writing and singing their own songs, the original screenplay and lyrics were written by a man, Howard Schuman. And I have to say, he put together great characters and a compelling story. And the excellent songs were also composed by a man, Andy Mackay from Roxy Music. In the current production, realistically perhaps, but also ironically, the backing musicians are all men. A good band, by the way, led by Toby Higgins. The musical supervisor is Nigel Lilley. So, when the women call themselves the Little Ladies and then have to explain it's ironic, the question is always there, actually, how ironic is it in the male-controlled world they encounter? They're patronised and abused by important and indeed unimportant men from the music industry and exploited and manipulated into being something they don't want to be. They try to stand their ground, and some of the best moments in the show are when the men are put in their place. The women also encounter misogynistic journalists, drugs, and messy personal relationships. Eventually they are driven apart by rivalry and jealousy. And by the way, a lot of this was also the experience of young male pop artists. It's been the job of Chloe Moss to take all the riches of the 2 TV series and reduce them to a 2.5-hour musical, while integrating nearly all of 2 albums worth of songs. On the whole, she does a good job keeping the essential and making a few changes for the sake of a much shorter story. Where I think she could have done better is to have slowed down the pace a little. We rush through scene after scene and song after song, over 30, with hardly any that are longer than 3 minutes. Unfortunately, good as they are as examples of 70s pop and, in some cases, an earlier swing style, the songs tend to underline what's going on rather than revealing character or advancing the plot. And sometimes they're simply what the group happen to be performing for a TV show or a concert. And this means it's hard to settle into the characters and their relationships, and the dialogue is often a brief exchange that can sometimes sound stilted. Sadly, we never have time for a proper concert of more than one song, and that could have really got the audience buying into the idea that they're a real band. The main characters are well drawn. Dee is a strong feminist and the driving force of the group. Played by Angela Marie Hurst, she has, and is meant to have, the best voice, a stirring, top-note hitting soul sound. Anna, played by Carly Bawden, is the intellectual, thoughtful, but also unable to cope with the pressure. Zizi Strallen is the funny, privileged Q who avoids confrontation and has, as someone says, splinters in her bottom from sitting on the fence. The two people who try to guide them with some degree of care are Harry, played as kindly but weak by Samuel Barnett, and Kitty, a plain-speaking, forceful American, played by Tamsin Carroll, who probably gets the most laughs. Philippa Stefani, a late addition to the group, is a mouthy Geordie called Roxy, who adds another powerful voice. The others are pretty much caricatures, but in the time available it would be unfair to expect them to be anything more. The cast, including Fred Haig, Stephenson Ardern-Sodje and Sebastien Torkia, do bring them to life. For me, Rock Follies didn't quite work in the Chichester Festival Theatre's Minerva Theatre. It's an intimate space with the audience on three sides. Now, there's no reason why a musical shouldn't work there. I recall a brilliant production of The Pyjama Game, but it does require the actors to play to all three sides. Unfortunately, the set, which is designed by Vicki Mortimer, fills the back of the stage with a structure that accommodates the live band at the top and a small stage for the occasional song sung at a concert. I'm sure this was brought about by necessity, but it has the effect of forcing the cast too far forward into the open space for most of the show. Director Dominic Cooke moves the cast around in a smooth, flowing performance, but they inevitably pitch far too much of the show to the centre of the seating, with their backs, or at best their sides, too often being all that can be seen from the extreme edges. If you do decide to see this show, I strongly recommend that you sit in the centre block. What Vicki Mortimer has done brilliantly is to use flight cases to represent all the furniture as needed, dressing tables, chairs, even a bed. Flight cases are appropriately those black boxes with metal edges that are on wheels and contain sound equipment. These roll easily on and off and around the stage floor with a minimum of fuss but the maximum of effect. Lighting in this open space situation is vital, and Paule Constable's is excellent in conveying the varying atmospheres of a pub, an office, a recording studio, a dressing room, a TV chat show, and of course, a concert stage. Rock Follies at Chichester's Minerva Theatre is an entertaining, fun show with some very good performances. I give it 3 stars. I hope you found this review useful, interesting, and if you did, please like, comment, and best of all, subscribe to this channel so that you'll be the first to know about my future reviews. If you want to read what I have to say, then please visit Theatre.Reviews, and you can follow me on Threads, Mastodon, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Thank you for watching.